Okay, I am just about ready. Got all my stuff together. I just got my stickers on my bike. I got my stickers on my helmet. I did a quick spin around the neighborhood, make sure everything's shifting. Got my tires pumped up, got my batteries put on. So I think my bike is ready. So we're gonna go inside. I got all my stuff laid out and we'll see what I have. All right, I think I've got all of my stuff together. I've got my Tri-Dot transition towel. I've got my case for my glasses. I've got my UCAN energy powder that I'm gonna take pre-race. Got my watch, my form goggles, my swim cap, my timing chip, and my earplugs. So that's pretty much all I need for the swim. For the bike, I've got a towel to dry off with. I'm gonna grab 2 gels. One I'm gonna take on the bike, one I'm gonna keep for the run. Got my sunglasses, my cycling shoes, my 2 water bottles, my new helmet, and my shield. And then for the run, I've got my handheld, my race bib with my belt, or on my belt, my race shoes with my socks already rolled up, and my Tri-Dot visor. And then over here, I've got my kit. So compliments of Mark Goddard from Zoot Sports. I've got this fancy new kit. It's gonna look pretty sharp. And of course I've got my heart rate strap. So I think I'm about ready. I've got all of my stuff together. It is Saturday afternoon, so I've got a few things to get done tonight, and then we're gonna head out to the course in the morning. All right, so I wanted to kind of talk about the Fort Worth Triathlon. I've done this race before in the past. I have always done the Olympic distance. This is the first time that I have done the sprint race. And I did it for a couple of reasons, mainly to hold true to my word that I don't do the same race twice, so I've not done the sprint before. But 2, because I wanted to just get out there and get a feel for how things were going since my bike wreck in May. So if you're new to the channel, I actually wrecked my bike during Ironman St. George 70.3 and had to go through some shoulder physical therapy. Didn't require rotator cuff surgery, thankfully, but I did have to go through physical therapy, and I still don't have all of the same movement that I once had. Not that I ever had great movement, but it's not as good as it was. So I've definitely been challenged in the swim. And to be honest, I have been a little hesitant getting out on my bike on the road. I've been riding it on the trainer. Last week, I had the opportunity to ride it in Decatur, but it was more of a a casual ride. I wasn't in aero as much, so this was really going to be a test. So, got everything all together on Saturday. Now, I actually signed up on Friday, so I was definitely a last entry. We got to the race venue on Saturday, got my packet picked up, ran into my buddy Bert, who was doing the run bike run, and did a little bit of a checkout of the swim course and of how the transition was laid out. It was laid out different this time than it was in the past, and that actually brought up its own sense of challenges that I'll talk about in a second. So, race morning, I woke up and I wasn't feeling super great. My eye was bothering me, and I had kind of a queasy stomach. And to be honest, if I wasn't already signed up and paid, I don't know that I would have went. But thankfully, I forged forward, got up, got something to eat, got dressed, made the drive into Fort Worth, which is only about 35 minutes, so it's not super far. Get to the race super early, it's still dark, kind of fumble with my stuff, get myself set up in transition, talk to a couple of athletes near me. There was a female athlete to my left who was racing her very first triathlon, so I got the opportunity to talk to her a little bit. And then there was a male athlete, probably my age, maybe a little bit older, who had done several races in the past, but was asking about trying out his wetsuit. Now, it was not wetsuit legal, it was wetsuit optional because of the water temperature. And to be honest, I went back and forth about the wetsuit. So he and I had a pretty good conversation. Ultimately, he decided to go ahead and try the wetsuit because he wasn't really looking to, he didn't have a big race plan. He just wanted to get out there, just see where he was at. So it wasn't like a breaking the no new things on race day rules. So then we made our way down to the swim start. The Olympic distance racers went off first, and then we ultimately started lining up. Did get the opportunity to run into Bert, who was headed up to the run, bike, run. Now, he and I had been going back and forth through text messages. Kind of funny. He wanted to beat me, or he wanted to sabotage me, and I kept telling him, hey, we're not even in the same competition. So you're doing run, bike, run, I'm doing swim, bike, run. I don't know how things are going to shake out, so it's not a big deal. So ultimately get in the water, and the water was fine. No visibility. It was supposed to be a pretty much just go out past 2 buoys, turn left, come over to a buoy, and then come back. But I just cannot sight to save my life. And there were times where it just felt like I wasn't even making forward movement. I felt like the current, just from the waves and the wind and all the stuff, was pushing me towards the center. So I felt like I was all over the place. Came out of the water, I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed in my swim time. I was really hoping that I could swim about a 12.5 minute time for the 500 yards. But without the benefit of the wetsuit, without staying on course, I did swim about 10% farther than I should, according to my Garmin. 15 minutes was what I had, right? So I get into transition, and transition is super rocky. You come up a pretty steep boat ramp, and then the whole parking lot area is just sloped all the way up to the main surface. And the transition was in this sloped area. It was grass, but a lot of rock, a lot of just uneven surface. So I did the best that I could to run. Because I know transition times, or mine in particular, have kind of come under scrutiny a lot. So I get in, I get myself situated, I get out on the bike. Once I get on the bike course, and there's a couple of, a couple of turns to get out there. You have to run across a path, blah, 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 get to the mount line. I did have a little bit of trouble clipping in. My speed pedals, I can't get used to them. Once I'm clipped in, I love them, but they are harder to clip in than the traditional pedals that I've had in the past. So it is what it is. Get out on the course, finally able to kind of see where I'm at. Drop down an arrow, I felt pretty good. We go down kind of a long downgrade and then back up, and then we make a turn into a neighborhood. It was really obvious early on that there were a lot of new athletes, and that's great. It's great for the sport, but I was a little nervous passing because of my bike wreck in St. George, and then I could see coming up they were all over, so I definitely was calling out on your left a lot. So made it through the bike. Actually pretty happy with my bike power. I looked this morning, I averaged 197 watts for the entire bike course, and I felt like that was pretty good. Get back into transition, and I really had a hard time getting my bike re-racked because of that sloped course and my high saddle. I couldn't get it to hook on the rail. It kept rolling down. And so after about 2 or 3 attempts, I decided to spin the bike around. And when I did, I actually knocked off the cover for the integrated bento box. So mentally, I was frustrated with that. I had to look to make sure that I had all the parts for it. In my mind, I'm hoping that I can fix it, but I didn't know at that moment. I get my shoes on, get my stuff together, and I head out. I didn't even make it out of the transition area, and I realized that prior to the race start, I had stuck a goo gel in my shoe to have it ready for the run, and it was still in my shoe. Now, thankfully, it didn't burst, but I did have to stop, take my shoe off, get the gel out, put my shoe back on, make sure the tongue was all lined back up, and then finally made it out onto the run course. Once I hit the run course, my legs felt strong. I think my first mile was like an 8:30 pace, which I know is not BQ qualifying, but for me was pretty good. slowed down a little bit intentionally. And before I knew it, I was to the turnaround and then back to the home stretch. I did pass Bert at the turnaround, so I knew he was a little bit ahead of me. And I made the best effort that I could to catch him, but he ultimately crossed the finish line a little bit earlier than I did. He was waiting for me when I crossed. We celebrated when it all shook out. Because he started earlier than me, I actually had a quicker race time. So I felt pretty good about that. Bert far exceeded his expectations, so there was, I don't think there was any animosity there. He was hoping to get it done in 2 hours. He did it in 1:35 or 1:34 and change. I came in right at 1:31, knowing that if I hadn't had the T2 issue with the bike and the gel, I could have broke 1:30, so I was pretty happy with that. So if you're in the North Texas area and you are considering doing the Fort Worth Tri, they do host it in the spring and the fall. Highly recommend it. I'm still uncertain on if I'm going to race 70.3 Haines City. I think I'm going to give it another week. I know I've been saying 2 more weeks, but I want to make sure that my eye's not going to be an issue, and I just want to kind of make sure that I'm committed before paying the entry fee. So thanks for checking this race recap out, and we'll see you next time.